In this video, we will talk about how to format our console output. Earlier, we talked about system.out. We only print one line, so we do the print ln. So after your string you pass into the system.out, it will add the new line. But sometimes we really want to do is, we want to have our console output, they are kind of in the table format. What means the table format? The table format is something like that. So actually this one is your homework assignment 1. Your homework assignment 1, I want you to get user input to calculate the user input for the loan amount. Then the user will enter the loan period in the year. So then I want you to display according to the interest rate from 5% to 8%. Display the monthly payment for different interest rate situation. So that means the user wants to borrow $1,000 in 2 years. But according to different interest rate, the monthly payment and the total payment will be different. So this output is, the table format. Just like your Excel, right? So this one is our first column. So the second column is the monthly payment and the total payment. So I want you each column and each row, they can display in a table format. They aligned correctly. And also you see here, the interest rate I want to display in 3 decimal places. So all the money displayed in this class, we will display in 2 decimal places. So how should we do that in Java? If you can record in your C++ to set the specific width in the value you want to display, we do the set W. In order to have specific decimal display, we do the set precision. So that's in C++. So in Java, how should we do that? So that's I talk about how to format the console output. In Java, we're still using the system.out object. So then the method we want to use is called printf. So you still display the output in the console, but f means I format the console output. So when you call this method, they will display formatted output in the console. You can either specify your width and the precision, like earlier we say. So then you also can specify you want to adjust the output align to the left or a default align to the right. So by default, actually, if you don't specify, they will adjust to the right. So then we see how we will use the system.out.printf. For example, I want to display an integer is count. A double is amount. So when we want to use the system.out.printf, they have a couple different arguments we need to pass. The first one should be a string. So inside this string of course we're using the double quote for that. So then here I want to display count is the count. That's a variable. And the amount is amount value. So on the other hand, your printf is you need to specify your variable you want to display. So that's why the first argument is a string. So inside this string, possibly we have different variable. If this variable is an integer, we do %d. So d represent for the integer. If this variable is a double number or float number, we use the %f. So that's why you can see here the %d actually is referred to the int count variable. The %f is the double value referred to the amount. So here, if you only do like this, right? So they just will display the 5 and 45.56. And you can see you have 6 decimal in digit. So this one, that's mean you want to display a double number, right? If you didn't specify how many decimal digits you want to display, the default is 6. Okay, right. So that's why you can see here is different variable you want to display. You want to display a Boolean variable, you do the %b. Character, you do the %c. A decimal integer, you do %d. Then floating number is %f. So E actually is the scientific notation. If a string, you can do the string. So this one is only for the data type. But just like earlier we say, besides the data type, right? Sometimes this count 5, this integer, if I want to display in different width. So how to specify the width is here. In order to specify the width, you will have how many space you want between your % and the data type. So for example, I want to display a character. C is character, right? So then I want to display in 5 spaces. So then you do the 5. So then you can see here, you want to display a decimal integer. So the 5 means you have 5 space to display this integer. So then here you can see the floating number, not only you have a 10, that means the spaces, right? So then here your dot. So after the dot, that means the 2 mean how many decimal digits you want to display. So when you do the %f, in between you do the 10.2. That means I reserve 10 spaces and with the 2 decimal place. Okay, so the same thing for the scientific notation and the string, you have the space to specify. So then you can see, you can try to run like this. I display a integer for 8 spaces. I display a string for 8 spaces. I display a floating number 8 spaces with 1 decimal digit. So then you can see, you can either specify with the variable name or just give them the value. But you always need to be careful. You need to match the data type. This one is D, integer. This one is S, so string. So this one is floating number, so that's a double number. Okay, so that's why your result like this. Or like we say, if you didn't specify, they adjust to the right by default. If we want to adjust to the left, so then you just need to add the minus sign in front of your spaces. So in order to show you the example for the floating console output, so the same thing, actually I have one example from the Canvas. So in order to practice the format console, so on Canvas, the demo file, the format demo.java file, so you can run from your Eclipse. So you can see how they will work on that. Also, you can change the spaces or the decimal place you want to change, you want to display. So that's, you can practice on that. So that's the formatting console output. And you do need that to work on your assignment 1, your first programming assignment. So we still have a couple minutes in this video. So the next one, I want to quickly to show you some mathematic function. So you may not need to use so many mathematic function, but I just show you the library. So math, of course, we know we have so many different function. You can find the trigonometry for cosine, sine, or you can do the rounding. So all the mathematic function, they are under math class. So in order to invoke all different math function, you just need to using the class name. That means the math is our class name. Dot the method name. So the method we will talk about more in the following class. But here the method, you just think about. In Java, we say function is method. C++, we say function is function. So in the future class, future lecture, I will show you why we don't call function, we call method. So then you have your method name, then you have your argument. So I quickly show you so many different mathematics methods. So like earlier I said, we have the trigonometry, right? So you can find sine, cosine, tangent. So you pass the radian. So I hope you know the radians is different from degree. By default, we use the radian. So the radian between 0 to 360 degrees, they are from 0 to 2 pi. So then you just want to find the sine, you just do the math dot sine. So then pass the radians. So the example, I just want you to see later for the example on the output. But here also we have trigonometry, right? So then we have the exponent. So you have the exponent, but this exponent, the base is e. Or you have the logarithm. Again, the logarithm, actually log is ln, that's the base is e. If you want to do a log 10, you do the log 10, then passing your variable. And also we can do the exponent. So when you do the power, a is the base value, b is the exponent. Then also you can do the squared, sqrt squared for the value, but they only give you the positive value. So that's all the math function you can see. So when you invoke each method, you just have the class name math, all uppercases. So then you have your method name. So that's the math class method. So of course we have more for the CL flow or rounding. So that's you just I will let you to read yourself. You will understand that pretty much from the definition here. So then we have some example and output. Okay. So then let's wrap up the last very important method under the math class. That's the random method. So you can see the random means you can create a random number. Good. So when we do the math, that random, that means you can create, whenever you call math that random method, they will give you a random number. But this random number actually is a long double value. This random method you call, they will give you a value between 0, including 0, but less than 1.0. They have many decimal places. So math.random actually return you a double value. So that's why if you want to have a random integer between 0 to 9, so that's we need to play the math, right? So here you only create the value is between 0 to 1, right? But how about I enlarge that by 10 times? So that means when I do the math.random, I times 10. I will have this value return between 0 to 10, but less than 10. On the other hand, I can create a random number between 0 to 9. However, I want the integer. Here, when you call the math.random, they return you a double number. Even I try to multiply by 10, I still have so many decimals. That's fine. Just do the casting. So when you cast int, right, then don't forget your parentheses need to have the whole value here. So they make this whole value become an integer value. So that's why we can create a random number between 0 to 9. So that's all start from 0, right? How about I want a number between 50 to 99? So you can see the range 50 to 99 is 50. So that's why you still call math.random. You times 50 to make the range. Then you cast to the int. Then the base is 50. So I add 50 on top of that. So then you can generate a random integer between 50 to 99. So that's our last lecture from Handout 1.